Hello everybody and welcome back to Retirement Rescue. My name is Dee Burks and today I'm going to be talking about my low spend January. Now every January this is one of those things I love to do, and I know a lot of people do this. I do it in a certain way and we're going to talk to you about how I do it. But a lot of people do a no spend January. And I think it's really, really valuable for a number of reasons. Number one, you don't spend any money. It's right after Christmas. People are sick of spending money. You're sick of eating out. You're sick of food. You're sick of everything. It's just been too much. And so January is one of those times of, number one, rest and reflection, but a really great time to get your finances in order, to make some decisions about what you want to do. Now, in a previous video, I talked about you're making notebooks, and I do lots of notebooks, or your plans for the next year. And part of that are your budgetary and money plans. Inflation has really caused people a lot of issues. And so having a plan for your money this year is going to be critical for many people, especially those on a fixed income. But starting with January, a no spend or low spend January is really important, I think. Now, the way I do a low spend January is I still pay my bills, y'all. There are some people, I swear, that, especially on YouTube, will get on there and say they don't spend a dime for January. I'm like, okay, how do you pay your bills? Are you just paying everything late? Did you pay things in advance? There's some things you have to pay money for. And so, yeah, I don't know what that's about. Don't care. The way I do it is I only spend money for those things that are critical. My utilities, your regular payments for things, anything like that. What I don't spend money on is anything that is not absolutely critical. And let me define that, because for some people, they think having a donut in a Starbucks is absolutely critical. It is not. That's not what I do. For January, I eat at home all of January. I don't spend money on food. And I didn't go and stock up before January either. That's a nice trick for some people do too when they do a no-spend January. They just stock up in advance. I didn't do that. Over the fall and summer, as prices were climbing, I bought a lot of extra stuff, as a lot of people do. And a lot of people did, as a great hedge against inflation. But now we're 4, 5, 6 months down the road, and I want to be sure and rotate that stuff out, because what happens? You get all these canned goods, you have a freezer full of meat, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, you don't want to cook dinner, so you're ordering a pizza, you're doing convenience food, and you still have all the stuff, and it's aging. So that's one of the things I want to really do. I spent a lot of time this last year canning. I still have some fruits canned. I still have some veggies canned. I want to be sure I use those, and I'm rotating them. So come next canning season, my jars will be empty, or some of them will be, not all of them. And I'll be able to can more fresh items out of my own garden, hopefully, if it does really well this year. That's my plan anyway. So I want to really rotate that food stuff out. I want to get off all processed foods for January, even breads, anything like that. No bread, no chips, nothing convenient. I'm going to stick to whole food, meats, vegetables. If I want bread, I'll make my own. And I absolutely make my own all the time. I just get lazy and don't do it sometimes, because it's easy to pick it up from the store, although it's certainly not cheap anymore. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do. And my next video that you all will be seeing after this is a freezer declutter. I'm going to go through my freezer and take inventory. What do I have in there? What needs to be used? How old is it? What goes first? And then I'm going to make some meal plans based off of that. I'm going to go through my pantry and say, okay, what do I need to be using? What have I not used very much of? How much paper products even that I have? Paper products are usually something that I buy every 6 months. And when I say paper products, I mean toilet paper, paper towels, shop towels, paper plates. I think that's kind of it. Yeah. That's mostly it, I think. But I try to buy those in bulk. And then I usually reorder them twice a year. So it's going to be getting towards time to reorder about February, early March. So I want to be sure and go through and use those down. I don't want to buy more and still have them stuck somewhere, because how many times do you do that? I do that all the time. Is that you think, oh, I don't have, chicken wings. I don't have chicken wings. I need to go buy some. And then come to find out you've got some buried in your freezer somewhere. Or, oh my gosh, I'm out of shop towels. You go buy more shop towels, and you get home and there's a whole box sitting in your storage room that you totally forgot about, a whole case. I have done that too. So this is one of the main reasons I do it. I want to see what I have, what needs to be used. I want to start rotating that product, especially about food, rotating that product out. And I want to save money. I bought all that food and all these things so I would have them to save money and wouldn't be buying things at the current inflated price. That was the whole point. So I want to be sure I accomplish that. So I'm going to be doing that. And that is a big one. People don't realize, it's like they kind of know in their head, but they don't want to know how much money they spend getting coffee, getting Cokes, running and getting a pizza now and then. Because in your mind you think, oh, it's just a little bit. But when you really add it up, you look at your statements and add it up, it's hundreds of dollars. Hundreds of dollars. And January is a great time to save that money, to really look at that. How much am I spending? As part of my no spend January, I also look through all of my statements, and I'm sure a lot of you do this too, at least once a year. If you don't, this is a great habit to get into in January. Look at your statements. A lot of your banks and your finance apps will sort your spending into categories: entertainment, food, whatever. They don't always get it right, but most of the time they do. Even your credit cards will do this for you now. They have automatic charts, little pie charts. Say, hey, here's why you're poor, this little pie right here. Now is a good time to go and really deep dive into those. Do you have subscriptions you're not using? Cancel them. Is there something you're being charged for that you're not using? Or are you being double charged? I just talked to a friend this week who said she didn't realize she was being double charged for something. It was a subscription. And they were charging her bank, and they were also charging a credit card. She didn't even realize it because they're on separate statements, and she hadn't really compared them. So get those out, look at them, compare, be sure you don't have any of that stuff going on, and if you do, cancel it. Get rid of it. Now's a great time to save money. If you have been thinking about doing something like getting rid of your cable, and a lot of people have already gotten rid of cable, but maybe something like that where you get a Roku or you get a streaming service. Now's a great time to do that. Also, if you have not looked at your cell phone bill lately, those things keep going up and up and up. And a lot of you have already switched over to a lower priced carrier. Now's the time to look at that. It's also a good time to go into your carrier now and say, look, if you don't lower these prices, I'm switching. You will be amazed at how quickly they will lower your bill, which really is kind of irritating, that until you threaten to switch, they don't lower your bill. So yeah, now's the time to address those things. January is a great time to do it. One of the other things that a lot of people spend money on in January is you start thinking about your garden, and you get all your seed catalogs. I've gotten several. I've gotten my Johnny's, and they send me so many catalogs every year. But because I order from them, that's why. I've also gotten some chicken catalogs, y'all. I want chicken so bad, I can't even stand it. Eggs are so expensive. And I always wanted chickens anyway. It's not just about the price. It's about being sure you know what's in your eggs. But that's on my list. One of these days, I'll have chickens. Probably not this year, but it's coming. But if you've gotten those seed catalogs and you're starting to plan for your garden, or you're starting to think about, okay, what am I going to grow, and order those seeds, now is the time to be budgeting for that. Gardens are expensive, y'all, and gardening is not about saving money. Those of you who have grown the $400 tomato, you know what I'm talking about, y'all. It's not about saving money. It is about knowing what is in your food. But when it comes to seeds and saving your seeds, it's absolutely about saving money. There were a couple things this year that I did save seeds from. And actually, I just went out and pulled them. And I found, I had a garden every year, did the farmer's market. I had a big garden, like I grew commercially for the farmer's market when I lived in Texas. Of course, one of the issues when you move to a new place is those techniques don't necessarily work in a new environment, so I'm learning. But one of the things I found to be very effective, especially with flowers, certain types of flowers, and peppers, chilies, was in order to save those seeds, I leave them on the plant until New Year's. I know that sounds crazy to some people, but it works. So that's one of the things I did here. I grew a lot of zinnias, and we're going to talk about the sunflowers in a minute. I grew a lot of zinnias, and those seeds were not cheap. I mean, zinnias grow everywhere, but the seeds aren't cheap. So I grew a whole bunch of zinnias, all different kinds, just mixed them all together. And I also grew some super hot chilies. These are Scotch bonnets that I grew. And when we got down toward the end of the season, I let them produce, let the flowers have lots of blooms. I didn't cut any of them. And I left a whole lot of peppers on my super hots. Because super hot chilies, you're going to pay $4 or $5 for maybe 10 seeds. They're very expensive. And yeah, I don't want to pay that. So if I'm growing them, I'm going to save the seeds. I went out a while ago, and I wish I'd taken my camera. I mean, I hate that I don't film half the stuff I do. But I went out today because it's a beautiful day. And I picked the seeds off just one section of the zinnias y'all saw me grow this year. Just one little section. I mean, it wasn't that many. Y'all, this is thousands and thousands of zinnia seeds. Most of these are in the hull, so it's not pure seed, but this is thousands of seeds. They would have cost me a fortune to order them online, but I don't have to because I saved the seeds from what I grew. The same with my super hots. I left them on the vine, and these were bright red when they were ripe, bright red. And I have left them on the plant, and they have dried. I live in a very dry area. I realize some of you who live in very humid areas may not be able to do this, but this is an area where you could basically throw seeds in the ground and chilies are going to grow. This is New Mexico, you know, and it's very dry. These dried out beautifully, and they are full of thousands of seeds. These are incredibly valuable, and these seeds will last for years. So that's one of the tricks I did learn when I lived in Texas, was that leaving seeds on the plant for several months after your first frost will allow them to dry naturally. I used to pick them off or clean them out of cucumbers or whatever seed I was saving and bring them in the house and dry them and baby them. But what I realized was these seeds do better if you let them freeze, if you let them dry naturally. The seeds are a much higher quality than what I could produce just trying to do it in the house. And so that's what I do now. It's also a lot less work. And I mean, who doesn't love that? Oh my God, a lot less work. So that's what I do now. And for everything that I'm going to be growing, I'm going to be saving those seeds because seeds have gotten ridiculously expensive. So that's one of the things I've done in January is go out and pick all my seeds. And I have hundreds of dollars worth of seeds sitting here now for just 2 items. And to me, that's really valuable. So one of the things I do when I'm doing my low-cost January is think of things like this that are going to save me money. How can I improve my ability to save money next year? What things can I change, tweak, call about, get bills reduced, whatever, that are going to affect me all year long and help me save money? To me, that is the point of a low-cost January. You review all your expenses. You don't spend money in January. You use a lot of product that's already in your house instead of buying more. And then come February, you'll have all of those subscriptions, all that, those inflated bills off your budget. Now, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you all for being with me, and I will see you next time.